Hey guys, and welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. And not usual. Usually you guys hear me introduce myself, say David Holder, and then you hear me introduce my two boys, and I always have to apologize. I'm not apologizing today. And the reason I'm not apologizing is because the boys are not here. So the chances of F-bombs and racial slurs and ethnic things coming out are hopefully not near as good. It's just, so I try to cover my bases. So anyhow, thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you that are driving down the road, remember the scents are in. Don't keep calling us saying, are all the scents in? They're all here. So go to the Raised Hunting website, find whatever you need scent-wise. Guys are really gearing up now. Guys are starting to shoot their bows. We're getting closer now. So, and then the canine line, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. So with that, I'm going to jump over. So since we don't have Warren and we don't have Easton, we're not going to do a story today, and we might come up with a wacky fact. I'm pretty sure one of these guys will be able to come. Ben is the wacky fact.
He's the wacky fact.
So let me do a little quick introduction, because many of you probably already do recognize or will recognize when you hear him talk. Shane is here with us, but Shane's brought two buddies of his with him today. Not just his buddies, but I know them very well myself, and that's Ben and Luke. And these guys are what you're going to hear us talking about, and what they're going to be referring to as the Upland 7. And what's going on here is they're going to do something that is out of the ordinary this year, and so we wanted to get them in here and do a podcast. And we didn't want to do it remote. I wanted to do it live. That's why the boys aren't here. We don't have enough headsets for everybody. So I invited them, kicked the boys out, said, hey, we're going to talk about this. This is not normal for most of you that are listening today. You know, you're probably getting ready for bow hunting or stuff like that, and that's where we're usually at, is all the big game stuff. But these guys are big into bird hunting. And I can just tell you, I'm not big into bird hunting, but I'm big into going with them, because it's just fun. And I think as we talk here, we'll talk more about, I know Shane comes from that, and I haven't had the conversation with Luke and Ben as much, but watching the dogs, that's what is like crazy. I mean, it's all about. It is. It's unbelievable how hooked a person, even if you're not into something. I think even on social media, we catch ourselves watching someone put something on there of a dog, and it's really well trained doing anything. Yeah. You'll watch it because it's just cool to see them, what they're capable of. So anyhow, with that, let's start with Upland 7. So
it's actually what we're calling Chasing the 27.
Okay.
And that's
going to be the title of it. And so, and you guys are going to try to, and let's start right there. Let's start with what that means, because someone's going to say, where'd you come up with that? So Chasing the 27 stands for.
Go ahead, Luke. You
so basically the Chasing 27, we're going to try to harvest all 27 upland species in North America. And the goal is travel the country and show that, you know, just ordinary guys can go out and hunt different states and have a blast with their buddies. And, with all these 27 species, they're all over the country, even a few in Alaska you could go to. So the plan is us three are load up the dogs, travel, make some good memories, and hopefully get all 27 of them.
Now, that requires someone's going to be able to hit these suckers, right?
Yeah, that will be our biggest problem there is dogs will find them. We just got to make sure we can hit them.
Okay, so now, my first question is so when we're doing this, does that mean that each one of you has to kill one of them, or is it just going to be that one of the group has to kill one?
We haven't decided yet. We've brought that up.
Wait to see how many birds you see.
We watched the flush last night up in Colorado hunting ptarmigan. They went the whole week and never killed a bird. So it's not real easy. I mean, it's like some of this stuff is tough, and some of it's, you know, the pheasant, the quail, and the normal things, you know, those birds will be pretty easy to do. Some of the grouse, there's a lot of grouse. Some of them's more sparingly than others. So we'll just decide. If we get one, that's kind of the goal. But if we all three can get one, because, you know, we'll be filming each other and things like that too. So.
Right. So now when they were hunting ptarmigan, did they take their dogs up there as well? Yeah. And so are you guys planning on driving or flying up there, or what are you thinking?
So far, driving everything. They were in Colorado trying to hunt the ptarmigan, so it wasn't too far. But Alaska's probably where we'll go, because they're more plentiful. It's hard to find them. You may walk 15, 16 miles. from what we're hearing. But then when you find them, you may find 150, 200 of
Right.
them. So where last night they saw one grouse. They never did see a ptarmigan the whole time.
13,000 feet is where they was hanging out at.
Yeah,
That's where they started.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys better get to the gym.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about last night. Yeah,
You think an elk hunt is hard, but when you're trying to follow the dogs, and I mean, because it's nonstop walking, you know, it's just constantly going.
Yep.
When it started, everybody was happy-go-lucky at the bottom of the hill. And I was like, yep, everybody's happy till they start climbing the top.
Absolutely.
They had a guide, and they said, "What are their chances?" And he said, "I'm thinking close to 100%." And take it for granted, they had bad weather. They had, weather changes everything.
Right.
But they still, I mean, they were trying hard. And you could see their, like Ben said, you could see their mood swinging. And we've been there. You know, we've been on hunts, and it gets too hot, or the wind's blowing real hard, or rain, or thunderstorms, whatever moves in. It change, just like deer hunting or waterfowl fishing. Anything you do in the outdoors, it's really dependent on the weather, if it's going to be good or great.
Right.
It's always good whether you kill anything or not, then
Right.
sometimes it's great.
I just can't even imagine, though, walking around for 4 or 5 days without getting a shot at one bird.
Yeah.
You know, that would be, I don't know, that would be rough. That would be tough to do.
They saw one dusky grouse, and it flew behind a tree, and they were like, "Oh, the wind was gone." Yeah.
Typical dusky grouse, too.
So when you talk about weather, so give me a kind of a day. I guess and I think a lot of our listeners may not be familiar. What's a typical, and I know it's going to change from something east or south or to the Midwest to the West, but what's a typical day? I've just been like with you guys when we've gone pheasant hunting or quail hunting here in Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, how similar is it to something like that?
Almost daylight and dark, ain't it? You know, anything out west is being completely different than hunting like CRP grass and stuff around here. But me and Shane kind of learned that last year in Montana. We was going from hunting tall, thick CRP grass to where sharptail and Hungarian partridge, stuff like that, you want to be able to still see your boots,
Right.
you know, in grass, like real short stubble, and just kind of learning the landscape. But every bird is about its own area. You know, it's got like its own kind of quirks. Like even from Huns to sharptails, where we was hunting at, they was in two different types of habitat just by themselves. But we hardly ever seen two in the same kind of walk. It was either some of them was in barley or wheat, and then the Huns was more of like them ditches that's got juniperberries and stuff like that on them.
Well, having been from Montana, not born and raised there, but I would live there for almost 20 years, and I wasn't a bird hunter, but so I ran into them all the time. You know, I mean, if you're not hunting them, they're everywhere, you know. And some of the places I saw some of those stupid things, you know, it was like, how did I not see them from 50 yards away? Because there's no cover, it didn't seem like.
Yeah, they can hide anything.
And then you get over there, and they're, you know, they come up. Seemed like Huns were everywhere.
Yeah.
And Montana was full of Huns. And then if you knew where to look, pheasants were really well. Then, and I don't know the difference in some of them, like sage hen or a
Sage grouse.
Well, sage grouse. But then there's a chicken.
Prairie chicken.
Prairie chicken, I guess. It's pretty big, you
Yeah.
know, different stuff like that. So, like I said, I didn't know my birds, but I know the guys were coming from a long ways to hunt certain spots in Montana there because it was plentiful with birds, and you don't see as many people out there, you know, just a lot farther to go.
And Ben made a good point. There's every different bird's got their own habitat. And that's what's going to be challenging for us. Probably half these birds none of us has ever killed. So we've got to go out there and learn how to hunt them where they're at. And once you figure out that pattern, it's kind of like fishing. It becomes more simple, but it's still not easy because you still have wild animals and dogs and all that kind of stuff. But
so let me ask Luke a question, because Luke, you're the trainer out of the bunch. Not that these guys aren't training their dogs, but you are doing it as a profession, right? So what's the name of your training?
So I own a dog kennel called Peterson Kennels. I'm located in southwest Minnesota. The town's called Taunton, Minnesota, kind of by Sioux Falls, Brookings area, right on the border of South Dakota, Minnesota.
Very cool.
Yeah. So train labs, and then I own short hairs as well. And then I train a lot of basically any type of pointer I can get in. So breed and train labs and German short hair pointers, but I get a lot of just other wire hairs, draughts, basically any kind of pointer somebody wants to hunt over.
So if you're getting ready for something like this, where the dog is going to be subjected to a various amount of sense, or
Yep.
I guess that's what I'm. Does a dog just naturally know that he's looking for any bird, or how does that work?
Yeah, so mostly for the pointers, it comes natural for them to point, right? And for them to smell a certain bird, it's not like, hey, I'm gonna go hunt in ptarmigan this week. I need to train with ptarmigan. Right. So a lot of the birds I use for training are just pigeons, just because they're easy to get and they fly really good, and they're a lot cheaper than buying pheasants or quail or something like that. So as far as preparing your dog for that, my biggest thing is just making sure my dog's in shape, and that's kind of the biggest thing I see every year is. Dogs are really good at hunting. They're ready to go, but that first 2-3 weeks they're not in shape at all, so you can't hunt them as hard. And then you're running into safety things, your dog overheating, your dog getting hurt just because it's not in shape and ready to go. And that's kind of one thing I've been really focusing on for Montana, just because that weather could get really hot on us out there.
Right.
So I want to make sure my dogs are in shape, ready to go. Same thing with like their pads. I try to build their pad toughness as well. Just because if we hunt really hard one day and put on 15 miles on the dogs and their pads rip open, well, it might take us a day take a day or two to recover. So I try to build their pad toughness as well in the summer. But mostly it's just repetition and getting them in shape and getting ready to go and being able to hunt, 5, 6, 7 days hard.
Well, I got more questions. So, hey, but I mean, we'll get back to, because hopefully we have some products that can help with some of that kind of stuff. And we'll talk about that. I mean, that's where the repairing mud can come in and be helpful on the pads, and Flavin can help with these dogs and their stamina. Yep. But what do you do? What's a physical, I mean, I know how a human trains, like you guys can go get on a treadmill, and either walk or run, or if a guy's going to be carrying a pack, you can put a pack on and do that. Yep. What do you do for a dog to get them ready?
The big thing is I just try to stay as consistent as I can with training, as far as, putting birds out there, training them. But I really like to take them on not really runs, but jogs on gravel roads. And the reason I like to do that is if that gravel's tough on their pads, so it makes their pads a lot tougher. But I don't like to run at high speed. So if I do it, it's either I'm walking next to them and letting them run, or I'll take a four-wheeler out and drive the four-wheeler 4 or 5 miles an hour, where they're kind of in that high-speed walk, jog. But they're you do that for 5-6 miles, you're building their endurance, you're building their toughness on their pads, and that gravel is really good for them because, like I mentioned, it's nice and tough. Where you run your dog every day on grass or in the house, that toughness isn't getting built up on them. So I think the big thing is just consistency with your dogs, training them, whether you have 3 days a week to do it, or if you're lucky enough to do it 5-6 days a week. But as well as I like to do train hard, but also recovery. So whether that's give them a day off or make sure I'm feeding them good dog food, which I think is one thing a lot of people overlook, is just the quality of dog food you feed, and then the supplements you can give them as well.
Well, it's no different than us.
Yep.
No, I mean, nowadays, I'll be the first one to admit, many people know me, and I would love to work out. I've been doing it my whole life, it seems like. However, people used to ask me, like, man, what do you eat? Because, I was really, really strong when I was your guys' age, and bench pressing 400 pounds. So people were asking, what's your regiment? And I'm like, 7-Eleven pizza and a hot dog, and I drank 240 ounces of pop a day. Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely horrid. Yeah. Well, it wasn't until, I'd say, the last 4 or 5 years. I'm now 57 years old, and things started to catch up with me, and I'm like, maybe I need to change something. Let me just see. Can't be that big a deal, right? You can't like change what you eat and feel completely different. I was freaking wrong. I wonder what I could have done when I was in my 20s and 30s had I ate better and taken care of myself better. Shane, I know, is doing it now, but I've gotten into this cold plunging, and between cold plunging and hydrogen water, which is what's in my cup right now, and just cleaning up what I eat, oh my gosh. So I can imagine for a dog, he can't tell you that, but you can see it in them, that they get done doing something, and instead of just crashing and they're just spent, they're back up looking around like, where do you want to go? What are we doing next? So I know you guys have different kinds of dogs. So Shane, we'll start with you. What dogs you got? And yours is the long list. So
first of all, don't let him fool you. I saw him pumping out 100-pound dumbbells the other day.
Yeah, I've seen that on social media. Yeah.
So we've got Chief is our 11th dog. So Chief is we'll start out with him. Let's start out with the oldest, Casey. Casey's a bloodhound lab mix, and he's I got him. He trails deer, and then we got into the bird hunting. And Casey is actually phenomenal. Following me, he stays right by my side wherever the birds go down. I mean, he finds them. We're in cattails and birds wounded. It might take him 30, 40 minutes. I might give up on it, go away. Here comes Casey. He's got it. So we got Casey is a lab bloodhound mix, and then we've got 9 short hairs. Crockett and Rivers mode is 2, and I've got 5 pups out of them. Of course, Crockett's the male and Rivers the female. Then I've got Pepper and Copper. That's the first litter we had. Took 2 out of those, and then I've got a Rain, Huck, and Sky out of another litter, and then I've got Boone and Scout. They're both they're brother and sisters out of Ohio. So that's
And all of them except for one is a GSP, correct?
2. Then the last one is he's a GSP mix. So
Okay, yeah.
I've got Chief, and he is out Pepper's pup, and he's of course half GSP and half Chocolate Lab. He was an accident, but he's been a good accident. We're out in South Dakota last year, and a good friend of mine's Chocolate Lab got to Pepper, and I think it was the last day. We had it pretty well controlled until then, but anyhow, she was supposed to have 6 pups and had 11. And I wasn't going to keep any, but then I kept one, and I'm so glad. He's super smart. That if anyone ever had a GSL, they'll know what I'm talking about. They're the perfect breed of a lab and a GSP.
They're a cool looking dog.
Yeah.
I mean, they're beautiful dogs. So.
Every one of them turned out look like a turd. They look like level turds when they were born. They're all look like the Chocolate Lab.
Right.
But they got the ability to learn is so fast.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. But
Really dark too. They're darker than like a regular Chocolate Lab as well.
Now, will you take them all on this trip?
Yeah.
You'll have them all, and so you can kind of go through who's going to go. Now, you don't hunt them all at the same time. No. You pull a couple out at a time.
We did last year on the last day. We just said we had like 14 dogs running. We didn't care if we killed anything or not. It was awesome to watch. We filmed it. It was cool.
We can still kill birds over top of them too.
We killed birds, yeah. But
Now, do they respect each other? Like, will they, will one stop when one, if someone's on point, will they kind of?
We had 1 point, and there's 7 or 8 dogs that was in that area, all backing that one dog. So, I mean, you had one here, then 7 or 8 more around pointing.
Right.
So, they honor each other real well.
You can't hunt that many. You don't need shotguns. You just let the dogs get them, right? They'll corner it.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, what are you taking?
So I got 3 dogs. I've got 2 females and a male. My oldest is litter mate to his river dog, so we went and picked up a pair of German short hairs. Her name's Avery. They just turned 4 in March. And then I've got a silver lab, which are kind of, they say it's like a chocolate lab, Y gene type of thing, but it's silver lab. She's the same thing as Casey with him. She just kind of stays right there next to me, but I also have a German Jagd Terrier, which Jagd means German Hunt Terrier. He's just a little black and tan dog. We kind of keep him there for moral support mainly, but me and Luke like to run them little dogs around. But he'll be there. He'll track and retrieve and stuff like that. If we get some of them areas, it's kind of rocky. If it's in a steep area, I can send him in to flush. But most of the time, he's just going to kind of hang out. I'll swap him and Willow out as we're hunting. So I'll have my short hair, and then I'll have my dog right there next to me. But yeah, he's a ball of fire.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Luke, which ones are you taking?
So I'll have 5 dogs with me. So I'll have Raven. She's my oldest dog. She's a German Short-Hair Pointer. She just turned 3 this year. She's kind of my go-to dog. I actually just had a litter of pups out of her, and they all turned out really good and went to some good homes. So excited to see those dogs, grow old and get to hunt and all that kind of good stuff. And then I have a puppy out of her. I named her Magic. She's just a little girl right now, but she's all gas, no brakes. She's ready to go. I'm really excited for her, so that'll be really good. I have a black lab. Her name's Tiny. She's just a pup too, but I got her a few months ago from a dog trainer that I know out in Washington, so really excited for her. And then as well as I got a Jagd Terrier. It's actually from Ben's dad. So I've got quite a few of those Jags from Ben's dad in the past, and like Ben said, there'll be more out there for moral support. But I've actually been working some retrieving and stuff with him and doing some upland work, and he likes it by all means, but he likes any type of hunting too.
Right.
He'll run a rabbit, a coon, whatever you want him to run. He'll go. And then last dog I'm gonna bring is a black lab that one of my buddies owns, but I'm gonna be hunting him for a little bit. And his name's Red. He's about 3 years old now, and he's a really, really good dog. I hunted over him all last fall, mostly waterfall and stuff like that. But we do a lot of upland hunting and stuff like that. So want to introduce him to that because we'll be guiding over Red this fall too. So
that's a total of what? You're gonna have 18 dogs.
I think it's 19, 5 and 3 and 11. Yeah, 19.
19.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
You're gonna need a big hotel room. So give me as far as particulars, say pheasant hunting, is there any particular bird dog that's better? I mean, like, is a lab better? Is a GSP better? Is the pointers that you refer, is a mix? I mean, and just your guys' preference. I know that there's people that are listening are going to be like, oh no, I have one and mine is the best ever. You know,
Brittany guys, you've got setters and all that.
English pointers. I mean,
but in your guys' opinion, if you could pick like the perfect dog for, let's say, a pheasant hunt, what would it be? Because we're going to have you come back after this. After we get through this year, we're going to do it again and then talk about, okay, where did we screw up? Because the ptarmigan was this. Our dogs didn't have a clue, or we didn't have a clue, or we only saw 150, or, you know, so.
So obviously I'm a GSP guy. I love GSPs. I mean, that's what I started with. I really don't have a lot of experience with anything else other than Ben's got a friend named Tyler. He took one of his,
setter. English setter.
English setter. She was really cool. I just don't like long hair dogs. I don't like long hair. Just don't have to deal with that all the time.
I was going to say, I think that would be a nightmare, like the burrs and all that stuff, wouldn't it?
Surprisingly, she wasn't bad, but I'm just talking about like our dogs
in the house
and things like that. I just don't want the hair. The KC sheds more than all the other 10 put together. I mean, and he's doing that right now. So it's like sweep every day, twice a day, and things like that. So I think that's why I lean towards the GSPs, but I love their personalities. They fit me real well. Ours are not super wild until they get to the field. They turn it off at home. They're cool. They're good, awesome family dogs. If you want them to jump up in bed and sleep with, they'll do that. You take them out in the field and say, find a bird. They
find a new gear.
Two or three different gears. Yeah, I mean, they go from first to fifth quick.
Yeah, I mean, so I have two labs. I have a lot of people that are listening know that we have Dan. He's a tracker. I mean, he's a shed hunter too, but they told me when they trained him that he would take the one better than the other, and he definitely took to the tracking. And, I mean, and in our opinion, Dan's kind of an anomaly. You just don't see a dog typically that's so human-like he is. I mean, just does anything that you want to do. Like Warren and them will make jokes and say, you know, he's more like a robot, you know, and I'm like, well, I like a robot because he's been on more planes than most people because he can go anywhere. I can get him to walk through the X-ray machine by having him sit on one side. I walk through, then call him through. He comes through. Just everything works. But when you put that collar on him that we're going to track something, all that you couldn't stop this dog. I mean, he is full bore. We're going. You know, where do you want me to go? He knows exactly what's going on. So, and to me, that's important. I don't know about. I think a lot of listeners are. For a long time, I thought, and I had seen it. People who had dogs that hunted, they stayed in a kennel, or you know, they're hunting dogs. They're not hunting. But I think more and more people are learning, and I guess this would be a question for you, Luke. Do you see more people wanting a hunting dog and a family dog? I mean, a dog that can come in the house, but yet, like what Shane talking about, when you want him to go out in the field, turn it on.
Yeah, I'd say majority of the dogs I get, I'd say almost 99% of the dogs I get are family dogs. And I think, in my opinion, that's kind of how I like to raise my dogs. From my experience, that family dog, hunting dog situation is 10 times more beneficial for the dog because you're exposing them to a lot more different environments. They know how to just come inside and relax. They know how to go in the plane or go on a car ride. Where you get some of these guys that I know that have awesome hunting dogs, like some of the best I've seen, but they don't have that off switch. They're jacked up 24/7, so they can't just come. You have people over, they can't just hang out with you.
Right.
And like I mentioned about that whole exposing them to everything, I think that's just Having that house dog makes that 10 times easier for your dog because your dog's used to people, used to different environments where most dogs, if they're just a hunting dog, that's all they know. They just know to hunt, and they know, okay, kennel, hunting, kennel.
Right.
Where, your family dog is used to you, and hunting season's only so long, right? So if I only got a hunting dog, well, I'm only spending so much a year with my dog where, you get attached to these dogs. You spend a lot of time with them where I'm totally fine with my dog coming up and rubbing up on me or jumping on my lap and watching TV. And to me, I enjoy that kind of stuff.
And it's 24/7 training, obedience training. I
Yep.
mean, I think my dogs know what just my reaction to whatever's going on. They know what I want them to do without saying a word.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Well, someone made a comment the other day, and this is kind of off topic other than it's about dogs. And if you meet someone and they don't like dogs, you probably don't want to hang around that person. There's just something about it.
I have no use for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a thing to measure, and it's I might be picking on someone out there, Now it's different if they got an allergy or something like that. Yeah. But if you just don't like dogs, there's just something wrong with you, you know. So,
right.
So, but okay, so I want to understand though. What is, and I think this is going to be a question that each of you are going to have to answer individually, and that is, when it comes to bow hunting, I could tell someone why I got into bow hunting. I mean, because I live and breathe it. And I know, Shane, how much you like bow hunting, and I know you do too, Ben, but I've watched you in the last 4 or 5 years go from bow hunting still good. I still enjoy my big game hunting, but holy cow, this bird hunting is fun. And even some days when I've talked to you and he's like, Shane will tell me, yeah, I think I'm going bird hunting. And I'm like,
I got a story about this.
I'm like, you do understand it's October 27th or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but I'm going bird hunting. And so I don't care who goes first, but I want to know, what is it? What is that? And I hope I didn't steal your thunder earlier because I was talking about the dogs, but for each of you, what is that? Because that's, to me, that's what you guys are trying to show here by chasing these 27 is that this is what it's all about, guys. I know you mentioned the friendships and all that stuff that comes along with it, but what is it that drives you guys to chase birds with these dogs?
We can get back onto this, but I had to tell a story about Shane bow hunting. We had just kind of got into it, and I was in Nebraska second weekend in November, and of course Shane sending me video, like, you got to get back from bird hunting, come shoot a deer. Well, roll into the next year that same time, we was out chasing stuff around, late October, opening day. Normally you're in a tree stand or over a food plot late October, but getting back to the dogs and everything, it's just fellowship, friends, it's about going hunting and having that time, that bond, that relationship with your buddies and stuff. But just like we was watching last night, that end photo where everybody's hanging out at the camp, the dogs are sitting there, just the bond, fellowship, people that you meet. I've delivered dogs all over the United States, and I told this to a guy Sunday. A buddy of mine from Kentucky come in and picked up a beagle in southeast Iowa. I was like, dogs have showed me people all throughout this country, and it seems like you immediately when you meet them, you almost have a connection with them right out the gate. It's just kind of
I think that's hunting in general.
Yeah.
It's like-minded people, and because we've been super fortunate. Raised Hunting has exposed us to meeting thousands of people. David Mitchell, well, he every time I talk to him, the guy just, do you know how many people I know because of you? And so that's really cool. Okay, so I get it. And one of the things I guess it brings back to me, so Jackie Bushman came up this past winter, and Shane took him deer hunting. He was staying at my house, but anyhow, we were feeding him and stuff, but we went bird hunting a couple days with Ben and Shane and all of us and all the dogs. And I don't want to say that you have more fun, but you can talk.
Yeah.
You get to know people more. You can, it's not like when you're sitting in a blind and you got to be quiet, or you got to you can talk some, but here comes a deer. So now everyone's got to be focused on what they're doing. So there's definitely something different to that. But anyhow, I don't want to steal who's going next.
I'll go. So I'd always small game hunting Kentucky and rabbits, things like that. Killed a few quail, just not a lot of birds in the area I was in. So once we moved here, I'd bought Crockett because I always wanted a GSP to look like Crockett. Just we may hunt, we may not. Didn't really have all intentions, but probably would someday. And Crockett was him a year old, and I was getting ready to go to early morning service church. Come out the back of the house and heard a rooster cackle on the back side of the corn. I'm like, man, that didn't sound far. So I go back in, grab a vest. It's got orange on it. I'm like, all right, I'm legal, and grabbed a handful of shells and a shotgun and Crockett, and there we go. Once again, Crockett's less than a year old. He comes around a bend, and I come around the bend of that corn, and there he is, just locked up as steady as he could be, and I can see it to this day. And that dang rooster come out of there, and I was thinking, there's no way this is happening. I shoot that rooster one shot, fold it up, and I'm like, from there on, I think I was like meant to bird hunt. Yeah. So then Ben moves up here, and then we drive down to Texas and get Avery and River. We call them the Texas girls, and that's where it started for me. And I just fell in love with it. And deer hunting is still like I'll never quit deer hunting, but it's stressful, as you know. I mean, like the way we do it, trying to raise big bucks and stuff like that. You got Z's, cars hitting them, just Mother Nature. A neighbor might shoot one that you wish they hadn't shot. Maybe you shot one the neighbor wished you hadn't shot, though it know enough, whatever. You got all that stress in there. Go bird hunting, and there's no stress. I mean, Nobody cares if you kill this rooster or that rooster. You might get there and take their spot, because we hunt a lot of public, and you might be on the wrong spot, and no big deal. Just go down the road and find another spot. And all those guys out there, they're more than happy to help you. And they share knowledge with you, whatever. It's a good community of guys. I mean, I fall in love with it. It's become a lifestyle for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far for me, I think the biggest thing I enjoy for it is just the process of training the dog. And that's kind of what hooked me. Is I was a big duck hunter in high school, and growing up in like the Twin Cities area of Minnesota, you hunted a lot of those puddles. Well, I got a dog because I got sick of picking up ducks and walking through the slough, and all of a sudden you take a step and you're hip deep in mud, and I'm like, I'm done duck hunting unless I get a dog. And I begged my parents for probably 2 years to get I was like, just let me get my own lab, and they just kept saying no, no, no. And one day my dad texted me when I was in school. I was 16. He's like, you think you can get out of school? I was like, well, yeah, I can definitely get out of school.
What 16-year-old can't?
Yeah, exactly. And I said, yeah, why? And he sent me a picture of a little chocolate lab, and I'm like, all right, that's like when I got hooked. And I spent every moment with that dog. I mean, I took her everywhere with me, and that's kind of what got me hooked. And I really enjoyed training, but our first hunt, I remember, we shot a limit of teal on early teal, and she retrieved every one. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing else I want to do besides train dogs and hunt with dogs. And that's kind of where you can ask any of my buddies. I don't deer hunt. I don't do anything except bird hunt. If I can't bird hunt, I'll just train a dog or do nothing, because that's kind of my addiction, to say the least. But that's my biggest thing. Is I love taking a 8-week-old puppy that doesn't know their name, and then a year from now they're 300-400 yards away from you, and they're locking up or on point, or you have a lab, and you blow a whistle and they stop and look at you, and you cast them in a direction. It's just like, for me it's buck fever. I shake at it. I just love it. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So I'm not a big bird hunter, but I grew up dove hunting in Virginia. And a couple of years ago, Shane and Ben and I, kind of all of us, it hasn't been a season here in Iowa, but maybe 10 years, I think. I don't think when I first moved to Iowa that they did not have a dove season here.
Oh, really? Huh. I didn't know that.
No. Or there wasn't enough doves and no one was hunting them and stuff like that. But I want to say that they did not even have the season, because I kind of what happened was I grew up in Virginia, and dove hunting was a big deal. I mean, like everybody went, and it was a lot of fun, and because the whole thing is, you could have a cornfield, you could have 25 guys there, and it's no big deal. Everyone took a corner, or somewhere that you weren't shooting each other, or sometimes you guys did shoot each other, but not on purpose.
You go to Walmart on September 1st, you can't find a 12-gauge shell in there.
Absolutely, yeah. And so anyhow, so it was a big deal. But when we moved to Montana, what ended up happening is your archery seasons out there start September 1. And with doves being federal, it opens September 1. Yep. And so we got away from it. Yep. And it wasn't until we moved back to Iowa. We're in Iowa, and I don't know, we'd been here 4 or 5 years. We've been here like 12, 13 years. And Easton says to me one day, he's about like 17, 18. And I said, well, I know what it was. We leased a farm, and I saw some doves. And I was like, hey, man, let's go shoot some doves. And we went that day, and he was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, well, we've done this before. And he's like, I've never done this. And I kind of was like pissed at myself. I'm like, what the hell? He's like, could have gone now for the last 10 years, and I've never taken him to, and I'm like, okay, next year we're going on opening day, because all we were doing on this one was walking through and jumping doves.
Yep. Yeah.
So the next year we get ready and we go. And what ends up happening is I have Dan, and Dan is, like I said, he's a tracker, you know. So but I shoot this dove and it goes down, and he immediately just goes over, and here he comes back with a dove. So I call the trainer and I said, hey, am I screwing my dog up? Because I don't want him to, we're out here dove hunting. He's, oh, no, it won't hurt him. You'll be just fine. That freaking dog was going, I mean, so then it was, I want to dove hunt just because I want to give him that opportunity. He was so freaking happy. He was jacked, and I was jacked because the he was going in to get the doves out of was thick. Like, there's no way you'd never find them in there. You know, it was like a hedgerow or a fence row, and then all the crap that if they fell in the bean field right on the edge of the cornfield there, you could find them. But if they went in that brush, it wasn't happening. He got every single one of them. So that I could see, I definitely have a little bit of knowledge as far as, at least for me. And then last year was just I mean, last year, the three of us, Luke wasn't there, but we found, and I'll plug the DNR here in Iowa because
that's what I was getting ready to say.
They set up, Shane and them found these fields that these guys, I think they told us 20, I think it was somewhere between 16 and 20 or something like that. Different fields that the state went in and set it up just for dove hunters. Public dove hunting stuff. And so anyhow, these guys did some scouting and researched and found one or two that they thought there wouldn't be a lot of people on it, and so we all went in there. And I can't remember, we had 7 or 8 of us, because Easton, Karen. Yeah.
There was a group.
Paige went with us, didn't she? She was there, I think.
I don't think so.
No.
Easton, Karen.
Hannah.
Paige.
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 Yes.
Yeah, Paige was there.
Paige, and then the two of you guys. Yep. And so, but we killed right at 50, wasn't it? So
we killed more than that.
We had 30 within the first hour. I mean, they were just They done an awesome job.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the good old days back in Virginia, you know, kind of thing. Now, granted, you better get on them quick, because they either you shoot most of them, or they have figured it out and they find other fields to go to. So
that's right. Yep.
But no, it was a ton of fun.
That whole morning too. I mean, just plugging DNR like you're saying. We seen wood duck, teal, all kinds of wildlife down there. I mean, and then have a shoot like that. It was just. It's pretty special.
Only bad thing about it, we had to quit after an hour because we was limited out.
Yeah.
Then we're watching them, you know.
The only bad thing about it was, and this is a little tip for everyone, make sure you check your shells really closely, because I didn't realize I was shooting high brass 7.5, and we shot a bunch. Like, because if I kill 15 doves, that means I shot like 175 times, because that's the only. And I couldn't figure out why my shoulder was sore. I was like, what the heck? And then I happened to look down, and I was like, oh, what am I doing here? And then I was like, now I'm missing, because I'm like fearful of putting that gun to my shoulder.
Yeah.
So anyhow, but that was just a ton of fun. So, all right, but you guys got 27 birds. Which one are you looking forward to, you think, the most? Is there any one or any one place that you think would be?
I know mine.
I'd say mine's probably the ptarmigan. I'd say just because how hard it's going to be. And we were watching the Rooster Tails yesterday and watching those guys do that, and they just kept talking about how, you know, not many people get this opportunity to do this, and not many people get to even harvest them. So being able to do something like that, especially with, you know, close buddies, and being able to do that with your dogs, I think that will be probably the most memorable one for me. But to be honest with you, I've been itching just to do them all. Like, I just love to hunt. I love to watch my dogs work, and I love to do it with great people. So for me, I'm excited for all of them, but if I could only, you know, pick one, it'd probably be that ptarmigan, and especially the places they live in. So.
Oh yeah, if you get so that's the only state I'm missing. I've traveled to every state. I've not hunted every state, but I've been in every state. I used to play soccer when I lived on the East Coast, so I covered all them. I used to live out west, so I've covered all of them. But the only state that I've been to, and this is horrible for a bow hunter to be sitting here saying, yeah, I'm 57 years old, and the one state I haven't been to is the one that's got the most animals of all. I've never been to Alaska. So I think just going to Alaska will be like super exciting for you guys. All right, Ben.
I'm a big quail guy. The trip like Mearns and Scalies and stuff there in New Mexico I've tried to be out there like the past couple of years, and I'm really happy for that trip this year. Like, I don't know, just a small little bird, like, you know, after you shoot it, you're sitting there holding it. You almost don't even want to clean them. They're just they're so, you know, cool looking, and the ground and the terrain that they're in up there. It's just that's really what I'm looking forward to is chasing them around.
So when you go for the ptarmigan, what time of year will that be? What month?
August.
Yeah.
Okay.
August, yeah.
August.
And then what about the New Mexico?
I think they come in into November, and then it goes out
Okay, so
February,
it'll be cooler.
late February. But yeah, they
That'd probably on the end of our trip.
that'll be the
February.
last trip of the year. But I'm pretty excited for all the different species of quail.
Right. All right, Shane.
Mine's Montana. First time I ever been to Montana was last year, and it's got two different habitats. One, you're up in the mountains hunting mountain grouse, and then another one you're down in the prairies hunting the sharp tails and the Hungarian partridge. I ended up going back by myself and just another trip, and I fell in love with that place. So, and I'm looking forward to the like Luke said, because that's going to be tough. I mean, that's going to be the biggest challenge. But as far as a place and we're starting out in Montana. I mean, I can't wait. And we were talking about it last night, and I couldn't even sleep thinking about it. So I'll go through my videos all the time from last year and just the scenery. Right. And I know why you're addicted to elk hunting like you are, because it's the same stuff. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, you know what's funny is we just did a podcast. Hopefully, by every time everyone listens to this one, they'll have heard that one. We had Karen on here, and anyhow, Warren asked the question. You know, hey Mom, what's the most memorable hunt? You know, and we all thought we knew her most memorable hunt. We thought that there's just a few things and I knew it would be something with her boys. You know, that she did with Warren and Easton, but the one that she came back to, and Warren was. There's a bull that we did not kill. Well, she killed it, but we didn't find it. And then it's a long, bad story. Right. We never got it back. A guy recovered it, but he would not give it to us. And we wouldn't let me even make a replica or nothing. Long story short, though, Warren ends up making the comment, because Karen talked about that being such a great day. And this isn't the reason I say that. It's in Montana. It's September. It's cool. You're out on the prairie, you know. But there's a ton of elk living out on that prairie now, and big elk. And so anyhow, this whole herd comes in, and Warren, I didn't know this about Warren, but Warren says he thinks that might be the single most, the best day of like any kind of hunting ever was when that whole herd came in like that, because there was multiple big bulls and they were coming in from different directions, and the entire herd was coming to me calling. And so when you talk about Montana, just has, when you cross the line, have you been to Montana, Luke?
Yeah, just for vacation, hiking, and stuff like that. Yep.
But man, there's you cross the line and it's just different.
Yeah.
It is. And so for all those guys out there, whether you're a bird hunter or an elk hunter, but if you're a hunter, you understand the outdoors already. But even if you're not, if your wife's not into hunting, this is the place that she would like to go.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And props to Montana for what they do. I mean, there's millions of acres or thousands of acres in Montana.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's public BLM ground and all that, and it's really, I mean, it makes it nice.
Yeah, and usually the weather, as long as you're not going in, you know, if you waited till late October, November, now winter's there, you know, and then you can, January, February can be tough. I've seen minus 35, regular temperature, no wind chill, you know, but that time of year, it just really nice, you know, no humidity and that kind of thing.
Yeah, those aspens and stuff are starting to change yellow, and it's and Billings is a nice town. If you like, we go into there and eat. We found some places we like. Ben and I don't know about Luke just yet, but Ben and I both love Cajun food, and we found this lady that moved from Louisiana to come up. So little things like that makes the trip perfect. Yeah. Then driving up around the airport, looking down on top of Billings and all that kind of stuff, and just where we hunt out there. We hunt the prairie ground north of Billings quite a bit, and then we go further west, get out in the Castle Mountains, and my cousin's one put us on that. He's like, he was elk hunting. He's like, there's grouse everywhere. They're shooting with their bows. We thought it was going to be real easy, but once you throw a bunch of dogs out in the woods, those grouse, they're out of there. But
that's cool.
Whole different ball game after we got there.
All right, so let's just pick Montana. Let's say you guys got a day there, and because I want to go back to kind of when you were talking about training the dogs and being able to work them, and so and I'm going to use that because I know the two of you went and did it last year, and some of the stuff you experienced. How much harder do you think it was on the dogs to do that than what it was here in Iowa?
Yeah,
a lot harder.
Yeah, his dog Avery, you can't wear her down, and she was going every day, and I was switching mine in and out, but one day she just wouldn't go. I've never seen that out of her. She's got a gear that's unbelievable, and she laid in the truck. And we got back, and I thought she was dead because she hadn't moved, and we pulled the blanket back, and she barely rolled out there, and so it's harder on them. We were pulling how many miles a day in those mountains?
One day we did 19.
Yeah, so I mean
is that how far you guys walked, or
yeah, that's how far we walked.
Right. So if you did 19, then
they're doing.
What do you think a dog's doing? 4 times what we do?
3 to 4.
Yeah, not even close to what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that was average. I seen that the other day.
And what
about 3 or 4 times what you're doing.
And what got her? She got lost in some downed pines, and that stuff's horrible to get into. I mean, some of it's 2 feet off the ground, some of it 4. You're climbing over it, under it, through it. And those dogs, she got lost, and it was echoing when we'd yell for her or she'd beep her. She didn't know which way to come, so she wore herself down there. She was scratched, cut up, trying to find us because she was kind of getting frantic. And River, she broke down that same day, I believe, on down through there. She started getting, one of her legs was hurting, so we learned pretty quick. I mean, and I'm not just saying it because we're here with you, but if it wasn't for that Ray's Flavin, that trip might have been over. He had a Willow jumps out of the they all excited to get out of the back of the truck. She jumps out and hangs up on the cable, hooks her leg into it. I mean, it's hanging down. We're thinking we're vet time.
Right.
I start pulling out the Ray's Flavin. I said, I don't know if it's going to help or not. She started stretching it, and I think she had it out of place, but she couldn't walk on it. Gave her that, 2 or 3 hours later, she's walking normal, hunted the next day.
Next day we did 19 miles, and she was,
I couldn't tell she'd have anything happen.
She lopes around.
I mean, it's
fine. So if you guys are listening now, these guys will tell you that the Flavin is for people that don't know what it is, so we have supplements basically but not all of them are supplements, but anyhow, the Flavin is. And what it is it's the flavonoids have been extracted from plants. And the best description I can, so that this makes sense to people in podcast land or anywhere, because I didn't know what it was a couple years ago, is the way they describe it is if you cut your grass. When you cut the grass, you cut the grass. It has to grow back. Yep. Well, the flavonoids are what it produces to actually heal and repair itself from the sun, or whether it's a damage like being cut, and allows it to grow back. They found that they could pull the extract, which is the flavonoid portion of that, out of a plant, put it into a form that you could give to a person or a dog. Because I can tell you right now, I've got the mud right now on my ankles to take care of chiggers. You put that stuff on there and it stops the itching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Karen actually still takes some of the Flavin herself, meaning the droplet, because it comes in a dropper form. Yep. But what these guys are talking about is, and Dan is 10, and Dan has slowed down for sure, and so we give it to him on a daily basis. But I also will give it to him a little more if we go tracking or something like that. So every morning he gets a dropper full. Every evening he gets a dropper full. But if we're doing something in between there, he gets another dropper. But and you can't it's not like it's not a drug. Yeah, you cannot go overdose. It's all natural. But it is noticeable.
Oh, I've seen the difference in him. I mean, I didn't know you was giving it to him, and I made the comment one day, Dan's getting better, isn't he? Because he was kind of going downhill. And he said, well, I've been giving him Flavin daily. And I'm like, I see a huge difference. And I'm not here for an advertisement or anything like that, but Crockett is like a 94-pound GSP, which is huge. And he gets out running around. He gets stoved up. He can't hardly walk that night. And you said, try this. And I did. 2 hours later, that dog doesn't even know that he's ever been sore. I mean, it's the real stuff. I mean, and I'm a guy that when I went to the doctor last year, I hadn't been there since I took a physical when I was 17 years old for baseball. So I don't do medicines. It's not that I don't believe in them. I just try to do without them, you know. Right. So, but this stuff, I'll never go without it.
Our Montana trip would have been a whole different story.
Yes. Yep.
There. That's cool.
It's that was some rough walking back in there.
So, Luke, I know you didn't get to go on the Montana trip. What's been the hardest hunt that you've ever had your dogs on?
I'd say, honestly, not even bird hunting, I've had some tough things. Pheasant hunting, especially just walking through, like, crappy cattails and stuff like that. But some of the worst stuff I've had with hunting dogs is hound hunting. And my family's from northern Wisconsin. They run their hounds all the time and run them on bear, coyotes, bobcat, all that kind of stuff. And up there, the woods are so thick, and we had a bear treat in the middle of a swamp, and I was the guy that had to go in and get my dog out of there. And I told all my cousins, I was like, I had to go SEAL Team 6 in there because I had to army crawl through all these trees and it's swamps. And but just anytime, I honestly kind of in the moment it sucks. Right. But those are the stories that you always talk about, and we bring up years and years later. I laughed pretty hard. Me and my dad have been on some pretty bad pheasant hunts where the pheasant hunting was good, but the walking was terrible.
Tough.
Yeah.
I think there's a few guys in Kentucky that would testify to that as well, Shane.
We brought some friends up. They said we walk a lot, I guess.
Well, weather can add. I mean, you get all that like CRP and stuff. You get a little snow in it. I mean, wet is bad, but you get a little snow and it gets heavy.
Yeah.
And oh man, it's tough. So, but let me ask you too, because this is just something that Karen was asking about. Do you guys put any kind of protection on the dogs, such as like a chest protector or anything like that, or do you guys hunt your dogs without anything like that?
I used to run a chest protector, but it seemed like I hadn't found one that don't rub them. It seems like it gives them more injury than it does help, because right underneath the armpits and then the band right underneath the belly, you get a big long day of hunting, it'll be rubbed raw and scab up. That's just another thing you got to worry about. But I don't at the moment. Any of mine.
Once again, use flabbing. They heal up quick.
Right.
I mean, like he's right. They'll get some cuts on them and stuff like that. They'll get all red looking. Give them that's gone quick. I'm just like Ben. I use some of the. I always got real bad underneath the arms. I mean, maybe I've just not found the right one yet. But didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that pretty much was what I was saying. I'd rather take a chance on something else. And my short hair, Shane can testify for it. If there's something to get tore up into, she is going to get into it. But
yeah, that seems like there's always a dog.
Yeah.
That is the one. The worst one that I've ever had was I was walking Dan here one day, and it's snow on the ground, and we went down the road here a little bit, and electrical, like the little electrical boxes you see by the telephone pole, we're down there, and he's digging in the snow, and all of a sudden he lets out this like horrific whining, and I'm like, what is going? And I mean, he just flops over. I'm like, I thought he got electrocuted.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was like. He just got electrocuted, and so I run over there, and blood is everywhere, and I'm like, what? Well, what had happened was I guess they did some work, and the metal, how heavy that green metal is, it's sharp. There's a perfect point. Sharp piece that they left sticking out. When he was digging, he drove that into his pad, and it cut his foot. And now we didn't have that. This is before we knew of the flabbing and stuff like that. So I'm calling Karen, I'm putting pressure on his leg to keep, because it's bleeding like really bad, and I'm calling her up here at the office saying, you got to come pick me up. We got to run into the vet. Yep. He ended up recovering okay, but man, when your dog gets hurt bad like that, I mean, it was scary, especially I guess with it being bloody.
Yep.
I mean, because the other one now out west, and that was going to be, I was kind of saving this question. What do you guys do or do you do anything for snakes? Do you guys do any kind of special training for them or anything like that?
So we carry, I forgot what, doxycycline or something. Maybe that's the wrong word. But
dexicycline.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember all the words, but I carry that if they get bit, and then you give them a shot of that, and it kind of slows it down, whatever. But this year, my vet was telling me they can give them a pre-shot before we go there, and then it'll keep the swelling from going crazy, and they're not going to die and all that kind of stuff. So we're getting ready to get as soon as they get it in, a good friend of mine, Paul Phipps, he just had his dogs the vaccine done, basically what it is, and so we're going to take those. I'm going to take his, mine, both, or whatever. We'll take all of them down there and get that done. But we all carry first aid kits, and one of the main things that I think is carry a pair of pliers. I had a pup get into a snare, and he was going to die if I had pliers, cutters, wire cutters, got them cut off, and pliers good. I got into porcupines last year in Kansas, down southwest. That's a rough place too. I didn't realize how rough that was, but it was like,
porcupines are rough.
Yeah.
I've never had my dog personally get into one, but I run into a dog that had gotten into them. Just like I've seen it on social media, but this poor dog, he was not a Mastiff, but the Pyrenees. One of those big white dogs, and he must have got into, and he comes, because I see him coming up the road, and he turns the corner, and when he looks at me, he's just a face full of them. He had to be miserable because the owners weren't picking him out or anything. He just was dealing with it,
I got into him last year. I got his pulled out, and I had about 3 or 4 left. He had probably 70 or 80, maybe 90, and glad they didn't get in his mouth, as in his lips and his nose and stuff. But and here come rain, though. Just Huck could take it. He's so big. I mean, he just, like, I was pulling him, he just standing there like, this is fun. Rain comes up and he's shaking, and he had about 20 in him, and every one he'd whimper, and I was like, man, this sucks, But I hope they don't find another porcupine this year, 'cause that's tough on them.
Raw honey's good too. Back to what to take.
Yep.
So do you train your dogs, Luke, or no? I mean, is there something? Because I just don't know what people do.
Well, a lot of guys out and down south and stuff like that run into a lot of rattlesnakes. I always see that there's rattlesnake training they can do for that, and kind of prevent your dog from, try to avoid the snakes as much as possible. Me personally, I've never done anything like that with my dogs, just because I've only ever hunted birds in the Midwest, so I've never really even thought about. I haven't had to deal with them, anything like that. But so I've been doing a lot of research on, okay, what do I need to do if this does happen? And I've talked to a lot of guys that have had experience with rattlesnakes and stuff like that, and they kind of give me some advice and stuff like that. So knock on wood, nothing like that happens, and we have a safe trip. But hunting with dogs, something always happens. It's just a matter of time of when it happens.
Well, so I had another lab, a yellow lab, when I lived in Montana. His name was Arson, and Arson got bit. We lived in Great Falls, which is, if you're not familiar, Great Falls is kind of like you come out of the Rockies right as you hit the plains, and so we got lots of rattlesnakes there. When you get up in the mountains, you don't have them. Anyhow, our archery range is right by the airport, and so anytime I went up there, I was always conscious of they're around, and I saw there's a lot of rattlesnakes in Montana. But anyhow, we were up there one day, and I'm glassing for antelope, and all of a sudden he'd never made a sound or anything. He just comes walking back, and when he came walking back, I'm looking at, and the way the bite was, I didn't know if it was a snake, because it was and I'm trying to show people that I know in podcast land you can't see it, but it wasn't horizontal, it was vertical, so it looked like the snake had its head like this, and there's two dots about that far up his leg, but they were perfect red dots, and I'm like, I wonder if he just got bit by a rattlesnake. So I threw him in his kennel, and it's like 15 minutes down to my house from the airport. And I drove home, and I pull in, and Karen's like, what are you doing? Because I wasn't supposed to be back for a while because I was going to shoot my bow. And I said, well, I think Arson might have gotten bit by a rattlesnake, but I'm not sure. And as I'm talking to her, I'm opening the kennel door. Well, by the time I opened the kennel door, I'm like, okay, he definitely got bit by a rattlesnake, because it was about the size of this cup.
Yeah.
I mean, his leg was just huge. So now I got a petrified wife. She's freaking out. We call it's on a weekend. We call the vet. Vet says, I'll meet you down there. Get down there, though. And he was as calm as he could be. And he says, well, I can give him a vial but this was just anti-venom, and he says, and it's $600 or $700 a vial. And he says, but I'm going to be honest with you, I never have. I've had several snake bite dogs in here. I've never given one anything. All of them have lived. I'm not telling you yours won't, because I guess he can't make a claim. So he's like, I'm not telling you yours won't be the first one that dies, but I've never given it to him, and they've all survived. And he says what we have to treat him for was potassium level. It will mess with the potassium in their heart, and they can have a heart attack. And he's like, and then infection. Yeah. He said so we give him an antibiotic, and we monitor their potassium level. And kept him overnight, and the next day the dog was fine. Yep. Didn't give him anything. I mean, other than the antibiotic. So I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, other than the dog ain't going to hunt the next day, or I mean, he's going to be sick, and I'm sure it's super painful for the dog, because his foot his leg was so big. I was like, it was so big. You thought it was going to break the skin.
Right. Yeah.
So
infection's big with those.
Yeah.
You hear horror stories about that stuff.
But so here's something, and I don't know if your guys have taught you this, but I learned that from this, and that is, if they're going to get bit, you want them to get bit above the heart. So if they get bit in the face, which is typically when you're talking about a bird dog, that's good, because it's not below the heart, so they're not pumping all that infection through their body. So him getting bit in his leg was bad. He was like, that's not a good spot, because it's got to travel through his whole body. However, he got bit in the fall. He said that's the best time for him to be bit. He said because they won't put out as much venom, because they're full from eating all summer. They're getting ready to go into hibernation. So where if they get bit in the spring or summertime, they're hungry, and so now they're like trying to kill everything that they strike at.
That's good to know.
So there was two things I learned from my personal experience. So there you go.
Luckily, we didn't run into any.
We never saw one. And we were in areas I thought we would, because it was real rocky. Then water down below it was hot.
It looked like it.
Montana. Yeah.
A couple areas look really snaky.
Yeah, where I would run into most of them was like the sage, like just a flat sage area, and gates. Like that's where you go, because a lot of cattle guards out in Montana. And so when you travel through a cattle guard, on either side there'll be the post, and they can get underneath. I think it's cool in there, and it's just kind of a natural, almost like a cave, but yet they're not in a mountain or anything like that. And then the other one was, when I ran into several of them one day, was a guy was drilling, or he was doing something for an irrigation pit in an alfalfa field down in the bottom, and whatever he was doing, I'm convinced that it shook the ground. And it was shaking the ground, and I ran into I antelope hunted there, and I think I saw 1 or 2 snakes in a couple of years. I saw like 6 that day. I killed them all. Wow! And I mean, like, they're just crawling by me, like not curled up, or like I'm sitting there, and here comes a snake with its head up going through the. That's creepy looking. Yeah. I was like, okay, what is going on? Well, the only thing different was that farmer, what he was doing down there, because I could feel what he was doing. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I wonder if that has something. And I think it just screwed with him. Probably so. All right, what else? You got anything else you want to throw out here at these guys? So when does this start?
September 1st. Yep. September 1st will be a dove hunt. August, the ptarmigan will be next year in August. We're a little bit late for that, trying to get ready for that. But September 1st will be a dove hunt. Then around September 7th, we're going out to Montana.
All right.
Yeah.
September 1st starts, so we'll probably have to have you guys back in maybe October, before we get into the heat of the battle in November for the whitetails. We might have you guys back in to see how things are going. And we'll keep monitoring what's going on. We're going to try to, these guys are going to be filming. We're going to be putting some stuff together, so you may see us put a video or two of these guys out there on the YouTube channel, where you guys could be able to watch what's going on. So, did you guys start a YouTube channel as well yet, or you're thinking about it, or not yet?
We got Instagram.
We're going to be on Facebook. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, Chasing27 is that. If you like dog work and just dogs in general, you may see them laying in the bed or riding down in a Honda or something like that down the road. I mean, they're always with me, so I'm filming them, taking pictures. So, then the hunting
Luke sleeping.
Yeah. And then hunting season start, we'll definitely put that hunting content on there. But it's not this time of the year. They're still alive, and we're still taking care of them, and that's a big part of our lives. That's probably 90% of my life.
So are you guys going to post some of the stuff like that you're doing training, like you were talking about getting them ready and stuff like that?
Yeah, we've been posting a few things about training, pictures and videos of them, kind of what we've been doing, especially with our dogs. Like I said, I got my dogs I'm training Get Ready, and I've had a few of Shane's dogs I've been training Get Ready. So going to be posting there, especially now that we're getting ready to start posting more content of just like simple things of how we're setting our truck up and stuff like that, of what we're bringing, vet gear, guns, all that kind of good stuff. So got that Instagram rolling and posting stuff on there, and then we'll be making a YouTube channel and posting our videos of the hunts and all that kind of good stuff. And
we'll have a link to you guys. I'll get you guys to send me like a logo, and we'll put it on there so people can just click on it. You can go to the Raised Hunting website and click right over and go there. But one of the things that I definitely see that happens for me, that you guys, I'll encourage you guys to do it so that our podcast listeners can pick up from it, and that is, we forget how much others don't know. That we get, you guys are getting ready to do something, like you said, that some of these hunts are things that the average person just not going to get to do. So being able to share what you guys are doing on a training basis, on a daily basis, when you're resting your dogs, when you're not, what ends up happening is you guys are doing it so much you think, well, everyone knows that. Maybe not. And so sometimes just being able to offer a little tip of, hey, here's something we learned about trying this for, in Montana, or trying this in Iowa or Minnesota or wherever it is. Man, that the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest help are people that are actually doing it. And so you guys are going to be doing it. So sharing that stuff will be awesome. And you got a number of dogs to kind of be able to say, oh, well, we tried this on this one, this on that. It didn't work that well on this one, one's way bigger than the other, so it had an effect, so. Yep.
And we're learning as we go as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like on a lot of these new birds. I mean, the pheasant and stuff like that, we've kind of learned quite a bit, where to go, what days and things like that. But a lot of these birds, we have no idea how. I'm sure internet will make it easy to read about and things like that. But until you get out there and do it, it's different.
Yeah, well, I can speak for Shane a little bit because he's a little younger than me, but not a whole lot younger. But he comes from kind of the same place, and that is, if Shane was going to teach you something, because this is how I explain to everyone, is 99% of the time, I'm not going to teach you from what was a success. I'm going to teach you from the mistakes I made.
Yep.
I mean, I just learned so much from those.
Yep.
So you pass them on so people aren't making those same mistakes. And then that allows them to get there way faster.
Yep.
And sometimes that can be, sometimes you can't avoid learning. You're just going to have to do it. There's nothing that someone, especially you hear us say something, that you're thinking, well, that's way off the wall. Well, until you've done it and duct taped your own feet or whatever to keep from getting blisters, and you're like, whatever, or making sure you spend $300 or $400 on a pair of boots because it's going to make a difference. Until your feet suck one day when you wake up and you can't go hunting, now you're going to go, I should have freaking listened to him, So, well, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm looking forward to this. I hope to get to join these guys a few days when maybe on some of the stuff around here. We'll just have to see how hunting season goes, because they won't let me get away from the rub trees, and we got scents that we got out there and stuff like that. So, but other than that, anything else you guys want to add? Like I said, we'll make sure there's connections or links to all your guys' stuff. Yeah. Other than that, I think we're good. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning into the Raised Hunting podcast. Appreciate it. Warren and Easton will be back tomorrow, so they'll be back for the next podcast. So we'll be back to apologizing, because as you can see, there was no reason to apologize for anything today. I mean, I think we made it through here unscathed. So thank you guys for joining us. Remember, the scents are in, the knocks are in, the canine stuff, and we talked about that. If you guys got questions, these guys will be able to answer a lot of it. Luke is actually one of our guys that's testing it extensively, so he's really getting to a good feel of it. But you can always shoot us a message, but you can go to Upland 7 and ask them the same thing. What dogs are you trying it on, what dosage, and that kind of stuff. So
Chasing 27.
It's Jason 27.
Yeah, we switched gears on you. Upland 7 was kind of my brand. I came up with it when we all done this together. We're calling this season the Chasing the 27.
Chasing the 27. Yeah, that's my bad, because he's even got it on his license plate. So then it was ingrained in my head when he told me that's what they were going to do. So, all right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Raised Hunting Podcast, signing off. We'll see you next week.
Later.